You want to know what it's like to be a Sens fan? November 2017, the Sens acquire Matt Duchene. Oh, this trade puts us over the top. We're going to compete for a Stanley Cup. February 2018, it's time for a rebuild. July 2018, oh, we're going to sign Erik Karlsson. September 2018, bye-bye Erik Karlsson. October 2018, we're going to try to sign Duchene, Stone, and Dzingel. February 2018, we can't sign them, so we're going to scratch them all. The next day, bye-bye Duchene! In case you're wondering what's going on, yep, it's bye-bye Duchene in Ottawa! The Sens trade Matt Duchene and Julius Bergman, who was acquired in the Mike Hoffman deal, to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Jonathan Davidson, a 2019 top 3 lottery-protected first-round pick, Vitaly Abramov, and a 2020 conditional first-round pick. The condition on that pick is that Matt Duchene resigns. And with Columbus fighting for a playoff spot, if they miss the playoffs and get a top 3 spot, then the first round pick this year gets reverted to next year. And if Duchene resigns, then the first round pick next year gets reverted to the year after. So if Duchene resigns, Ottawa either gets 2019 and 2020 first round picks or 2020 and 2021 first round picks. If he doesn't resign, they'll either get the 2019 or 2020 first rounder. So the mass exodus begins. Oh, you're a star player and you play in Ottawa, you say. Oh, your contract is about to expire, you say. Well, you're not getting a new one in Ottawa, so take a hike, buddy. I guess I shouldn't be too upset. I knew this day was coming. The Sens don't know how to hold on to their stars, so why would they ever keep Matt Duchene? And really, let's be honest, the closer we got to the deadline, the less opaque the writing on the wall became. Duchene was as good as gone, and that day came on Friday. Losing Duchene is a big blow for the Sens, as it significantly hurts their center depth. Friday morning, the Sens had Duchene, White, Pajot, Smith, and Tierney down the middle. Without Duchene, all of a sudden White, Tierney, and Pajot are expected to play first line, second line, and third line center. While not awful, it's certainly not the kind of center depth you want if you're going to win hockey games. And yeah, the Sens are in a rebuild, but without their first round pick this year, they should be trying to win a few games. Trading Duchene, while not ideal, was a necessity because he didn't plan on re-signing in Ottawa. And with ownership the way it is, who can blame him? But it's still terribly disappointing to see him leave. And seeing him walk out the door highlights just how terrible 2 of the Sens trades were. First, there was the Mike Hoffman trade. And with Bergman being included in this trade, it was basically Mike Hoffman, a 5th round pick, and a prospect to San Jose for Mikhail Bodker and a 6th round pick. Basically, Ottawa traded Hoffman straight up, then traded a prospect and a 5th round pick to move down for a 6th round choice. Great trade, Ottawa. Great trade. And then, of course, there's the Duchene trade. As it turns out, the Sens traded Kyle Turris, Andrew Hammond, prospect Shane Bowers, a 1st round pick that's going to be in the top 3, and a 3rd round pick for 2 prospects, a 1st rounder, and potentially another 1st rounder. If you break it down, the Sens basically gave up Turris, Hammond, and Bowers for 2 B-level prospects, then gave up a 1st rounder in the top 3 to move down in the 1st round with a chance at getting another 1st rounder. Another just ugly trade. I have to say though, as for the trade this time around, it actually wasn't that bad. Yeah, it would have been nice to get somebody a little higher touted, but at least they got a couple prospects and a 1st rounder. And the really underrated part of the trade is Ottawa might have actually taken another asset off the board, as Artemi Panarin may not be traded by Columbus now. And if he isn't traded, that should only drive up the price for Stone, because that's one less elite forward on the market. I'm not even talking about Stone re-signing in Ottawa, because we already know that's not happening. Losing Duchene is heartbreaking, and seeing him in a Blue Jackets jersey last night just hurt. I don't know if Melnyk was at the game last night, or if he even watched, but if he did, I can imagine all he saw was a $64 million bundle of money skating around the ice in a Blue Jackets jersey. And I can imagine all he kept thinking was, thank God that's not in an Ottawa uniform. Just look at Ottawa's finances for a minute, and it will tell you everything you need to know about where this team is heading. The Sens have Clark MacArthur and Marian Gaborik on their roster. Neither have played a game this season, and neither were put on LTIR. That way their cap hit can count against the cap, and Ottawa's terribly low cap hit won't be under the floor. Then there's the $2.5 million buyout for Burrows, and the $1.75 million salary retention on Dion Phaneuf. The Sens are paying over $4 million to players not to play here. All so that they can pay the players that are here basically nothing. Welcome to Ottawa. Then there's the amount of actual money the Sens are spending. Cap Friendly lists that the Sens' expected salary cap hit is $71 million. Their actual expected salary expenditure is $64 million. They have 21 players currently on their NHL roster, and 11 of them make less than $1 million. Like I mentioned, Ottawa's projected cap hit is $71.2 million. Take out Stone, and that number drops to less than 64. Add Dzingel to that list, and you're down to 62. That leaves the Sens less than $4 million above the floor. Thank goodness they're paying Phaneuf to play somewhere else, Burrows to be retired, and MacArthur and Gaborik to be injured. Because without them, this team would be under the floor. Although the truth is, if I expected anyone to try to circumvent the salary cap and get under the floor without getting caught, it would be Melnyk. But at the risk of sounding totally negative, let's look at what the Sens got in return. A 2019 first-round pick that could fall anywhere between 4 and 31. The Sens didn't really do themselves any favors last night, as they promptly went out and lost to the Blue Jackets, watching that pick fall from 14 to about 20th. And with the conditional pick, I guess we'll wait and see. Will Duchene re-sign in Columbus? I imagine the next few months will let us know. And if he does re-sign in Columbus, does that make it more or less likely that Panarin and Bobrovsky re-sign? And if those two leave, but Duchene stays, then what happens? That 2020 pick, should Duchene re-sign, could end up being a really high pick for the Sens, as they were in a similar position a few years ago, and now find themselves having to trade Duchene. If Columbus bottoms out the same way Ottawa did after the Duchene trade, that pick could be good. But let's be honest, Ottawa doesn't have that kind of luck. As for Abramov, apparently the Sens are getting a small, extremely skilled forward. In his rookie season in the Q, he finished with 38 goals, 55 assists to win the rookie scoring race by 26 points. He scored over 300 points in the Q, but has struggled in his first season of pro hockey, posting just 26 points in 56 games with the Cleveland Monsters. He also apparently almost made the Blue Jackets roster a couple years ago, so should he keep developing, it sounds like he could become a key offensive player for the Sens, likely on their second line. Davidson, meanwhile, is described as a bit of a late bloomer, who is still playing in the Swedish Hockey League. Apparently it's taken Davidson a few years to work on his defensive game, which isn't much of a problem considering it takes a lot of young players some time to work on their defensive game, and apparently he's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. But you need both playmakers and goal scorers to score goals, so that's not really a big problem either. After posting 10 goals and 31 points with Djurgårdens last year, Davidson has 10 goals and 20 points so far this season, so looks to be picking up a little better than he was last year. If he can continue trending in the right direction, I'd like to see him in Belleville next year and get him on the North American ice. According to reports, Abramov has the speed and raw talent to be a key offensive contributor in the NHL, while Davidson projects to be a key third-line player in the NHL. If both work out that way, those aren't bad pieces for the Sens. I just wish we didn't have to give up Matt Duchene to get it. I don't always do this, but let's wrap up the video with something a little fun. Who's going next? Leave a comment in the comments section below with who you think the Sens will trade next. Will it be Stone? Will it be Dzingel? Will it be Ceci, Pajärvi, Anderson, Nilsson, Pajot, Smith? The list goes on and on. Let me know who you think it'll be.